Hi everyone, my name is MARTELL-TORRES, and today I will be presenting about the Caribbean characters. And my thesis statement will be the integration of folklore characters as a way of criticism. And my 3 points will be about the three folklore characters the author integrates in the novel. The first one will be about the midnight robber and how the protagonist becomes this character. The second one will be about the Doans, these creatures that show more compassion than the humans. And the third one will be the Anansi, this technological device that controls the humans and tries to make a perfect world in Tosant. And the Midnight Robber was one of the most recognizable traditional carnival characters. This dark and mysterious character is both loved and feared. With a distinguishable costume and an elaborate speech that they call it the robber talk, it terrifies the audience into giving them cash. It came from the tribes of Africa and was brought to the Caribbean, specifically Trinidad, through the slave trade. The main reason this character is portrayed in the novel is to empower the protagonist. Tantan, since she was a pygmy, or a little girl, was fascinated by the tales of midnight robbers, and she used to play as the robber queen. The game suddenly became her way of survival. On the first night her father abused her, she closed her mind and looked at a doll she had on the bed that had a little wooden knife. And she imagined Tantan, the robber queen, and made a speech about herself, saying, "She made Tantan the robber queen. Nothing can hurt she, not black-hearted men, not nothing." The robber queen, or the midnight robber, became a beacon of light for her, and it was a coping mechanism towards these horrible things that her father did to her. For her 16th birthday, this kept on years and years until she was 16. For her 16th birthday, the persona finally took over. She was talking to Melonhead, her best friend, and her father saw them, and he, consumed by jealousy, he beat her and raped her for the last time. On this same day, they gifted her a knife, and while her father was raping her, it says, something was scraping at her waist. Her hand found it, the scabbard. With the knife inside, a roaring started up in her ears. It couldn't have been she. It must have been the robber queen, who pulled out the knife. Antonio raised up to shove into the person on the bed again. It must have been the robber queen, the outlaw woman, who, quick like a snake, got the knife raised at her breastbone, just as Antonio slammed his heavy body right onto the blade. Here we can see that Tantan tries to justify her actions with the robber queen persona. She doesn't say Tantan did this. She says that the robber queen was the one that killed her father. As the novel goes on, she embraces this character. And this character can be seen as the good and the bad personality that Tantan used to talk about in the novel. And she helps the powerless of New Halfway Tree with violence. She feels empowered and attacks the oppressors. And she becomes a fearful figure to all the townspeople. And she even becomes the subject of her own tales. By the end of the novel, she goes to a carnival and acts as the famous midnight robber, or the robber queen, speaking her infamous robber speech to be able to earn money. She enjoys herself until Jazinet, her stepmother, comes and finally finds her and accuses her of murder. Tantan, empowered by her own costume and character, tells her personal story as a robber speech to all the people of the town, and they cheer her on. Janicet still accuses her and wants to see her suffer, but the robber queen exclaims, "It's that you believe, Antonio wife? Is she tempt he? Then why for her birthday you give her one knife?" Janicet finally accepted the truth and stopped accusing her of being the one to manipulate her father into them being together. Because it's true, why would she give her a knife if she didn't believe, or she just didn't want to believe that that was happening? And Tantan was finally free after this grandiose speech she gave about her personal life to all the people. She was finally free from the injustice things that happened to her throughout her whole life. Thanks to the robber queen, or the midnight robber character, she was able to become a savior for the people, but she also saved herself in the process. Now, to the second point that has to do with the duendes, that are these characters that are more compassionate than the humans themselves. According to The Guardian, a duende, like other characters of local folklore, is a direct transfer of stories of West Africa, who cared for lost children in the woods. In the beginning of the novel, Tantan's Eshu talks about the duendes and tells her that they were extinct. She asks why, and it tells her, to make Tosan safe for people from the nation's ships. And it's a little ironic how they say that they have to make the people safe from these creatures that are more compassionate. And finally, when Tantan goes to the New Way half tree with her father, she was the only human that saw the duendes creatures as equal. In the novel, there was an inequality between the exiled humans and the duendes. These lizard bird-like creatures were the natives of the New Way half tree, but they were still casted aside by the humans. Chichibud was the main duende that guided her father and Tantan through this new world they got to. Even though he showed them kindness, the humans treated him the way whites treated slaves. And they bossed him around, and Tantan couldn't accept this. She tried to defend him, but Cloud, one of the humans, tells her, "Is a human that? So how we could call we compere?" Compere in the novel is like Mr. Here, we can see how the humans thought they were more superior than these creatures. Chichibird and the duende were really the opposite of the humans. Even though they were in the same race, they always showed compassion and kindness towards them. And Chichibird saw how Tantan was different, and that's why he cared for her when she killed her father. He took her to his home and made her promise that she would never tell anyone of their secrets. She struggled to live there because nothing was like in the human world. But in the end, she managed to survive with their ways. She went to this other town and played as the robber queen, helping these people. But that's what got her into trouble with the Duans. In the end, the humans reached her, and her stepmother got to her and went to investigate the homes of the Duans. And this is why Chishiba had to banish her from his home. But even though he vanished her, he made sure she was safe because he told Abitefa, one of the family members, to go with her until she found a safe place to live. And thanks to the kindness and the culture of these creatures, and even their sayings, like when they used to say, "When you take one life, you must give back two," she went on helping as many helpless people she could to atone for the self-defense she did against her father. Even though it was self-defense, she felt wrong for doing it. And that's why she wanted to help as many people as possible, because she took away one, but she had to give back two. And in the last character I would like to speak of is Anansi, a character that is a trickster and a controlling this controlling technological interface that is in the Tosan world. And it is said that the Anansi character, who became famous throughout Africa countries and in the Caribbean region, they can be a trickster that becomes a spider that teaches moral, ethical, political, or social values based on their ability to lead a person to the truth through puzzles and in the least expectant turns and twists of fate. In the story, the author makes us question this character by naming the network of Granny Annie also Anansi, a spider trickster. We interrogate if this is tricking the people of Tosan. And Granny Nanny or Nancy was a way to control these people. Some of them wanted to stay unplugged, but this technology was a positive thing that helped Tosan be a perfect world. Even after being exiled to the New Way half-tree, the humans thought about Granny Annie as a higher being that controlled their life. Anansi was seen as a trickster who could trap you in its webs. In one point, Tantan feels like this when she reunites with Melonhead. It says, "She and Melonhead talked and talked, her spinning lies, him caught in their web." Here we can see that Tantan becomes this folkloric character to be able to cope with what she's going through. She lies to Melonhead to not tell the truth and to not be vulnerable against him. And in the end, Tantan gives birth to her son, Tubman, where it says, "Your whole body is one living connection with the Grande Anansi nanotech interface. Your little body string will sing to Nani tune, dokes dokes. You will be a weave in she web." This child will be the breach between the technological controlling world and the human world. And it should be the new beacon of hope for these humans and a new way to use the technology. And why I think the literature is sci-fi? I think it's sci-fi because it integrates technology and its purposes on the human world. According to the journal article of Giselle Lisa Anatol, Hopkinson identifies science fiction as a subversive literature, claiming that what she likes about the genre is its ability to point out systematic flaws in our social systems. Cyberspace genre allows her to construct possible worlds in which she can redress the problems of our world. With this quote, it explains why this literature is sci-fi, and it also explains my opinions towards it, because thanks to the Anansi web, we see how these higher governments or these higher beings control society. We see the racism or the slavery between the humans and the Duans, that it could also be a criticism towards slavery. And we see the empowerment with this character, the Midnight Robber. And that's all that crumbled into one novel that is sci-fi. And I think it is a very important contribution to the class, because it shows us a different side of sci-fi. It entails the Caribbean folklore into the advanced technological worlds that criticize our society. It includes different cultures that we've never really seen before in other works that we've studied. And that's why I think it's very important to include it to the class, because it's something different, it's something very, very interesting, that even is closer to us because it's Caribbean, and it's the storytelling. And even while you read it, you know how it feels, them being sweaty, them being hot, seeing all these trees. And that's why I think it's very important for the class. And for my final part of the presentation, I will be asking you 2 questions. The first one is, did you like the transformation into the Midnight Robber? Did you like when the protagonist transformed into this character, into the Robber Queen, into the Midnight Robber, and why? And the second question is, what was the first image that came to your mind when you read about the Duens? What was the first image you thought of when you read about these creatures? The first thing. And those are my 2 questions. And this is the ending of my presentation. I hope you all liked it. And I hope you stay safe and healthy.